Marie Bradley and I'm an area demonstrator for the North Midlands area of NAFAS. And today I'm going to do a demonstration, first of all, of a framework, and then I'm going to show you how I'm using it in two different designs. It came about when my neighbour, at the onset of lockdown, bought me a bag of this corkscrew hazel, Corylus avellana. I looked at it and wondered what I was going to do with it. And then starting to have a little play and thinking about what NAFAS were doing at the time. It was, as I say, the start of lockdown. And NAFAS was suggesting to us that we made door wreaths to say thank you to the NHS. So I started to make a door wreath for my neighbour. First of all, I stripped all the leaves, of course. But it is important that you use it when it's fairly fresh and then you can manipulate it. Intertwining some of the branches and then binding them, they attach to each other because of the nature of the contorted branches. So they will bind themselves together. And if you do that, you can make, as I did, quite a long sausage. And once I got a sausage together, then I found that I could make a round circle. I have one here partly made. So I kept going and going until eventually I had formed a circle. Don't worry about pieces of the start of the branch. Don't worry about those till the end, till you have your complete circle, and then keep binding in more and more until it thickens up and becomes more stable. You can use then vines to tighten it up even further. This is a piece of rubus, creeping bramble. You'll need to take the leaves off, strip the leaves off, and then that can be passed through, so threaded through and woven into the design. And that will pull it all together and make it even tighter. And actually, as it dries, it becomes really quite attractive. You can also use, of course, headrow. So this is the finished one. As you can see, it's really firm and it's a nice circle. I've cut off any pieces that were outside the perimeter of the circle, and those you can put on some brown spray paint or even a little bit of mud or dirt, and that will camouflage it. Then I've attached to that, I've attached some wire. This is floristry wire, 1.8 gauge, and it's 50 centimetres long. And I've attached it in 4 equal places, brought it together and made a handle. And I brought it together and taped it with pot tape. I've got a handle then that I can do a simple hand-tied arrangement. Now for quickness, I have put my material all in bunches. And the first bunch that I'm going to use, you can see there's an echinopsis. There's a pink rose, very similar to aqua. There's a little bit of toad flax, some seeded marjoram, and some ami visagna. So those are going in to start with. So I'm just going to add more and more of the bunches. There are sedum as well within this design. All these flowers are actually growing in my garden. Now, when you are doing any sort of hand-tied, it is important that you've conditioned your stems well. And when we talk about conditioning, what we're talking about is stripping all the lower leaves off from the flowers and the foliages. And once you've stripped the leaves off, then you must cut the stem at a nice sharp angle and allow it to have a good drink of water over about 24 hours. Besides what I've already spoken about, there's some eucalyptus gunnae. That's a lovely bluey grey foliage, which I thought would blend in perfectly with this arrangement. And it's interesting, as I went round the garden to do this hand-tied, I noticed that the colour palette of the flowers are on the blues, purples, lilacs, and so it's so easy to create something that is attractive and appealing. You've perhaps noticed that I'm trying to use flowers and foliages that have all different forms. This helps create a lot of interest with your bouquets or any arrangement that you're doing. So you have pointed forms, flat forms, round forms, and as I say, the difference in the forms and also the difference in the texture will help the arrangement have that extra interest. This is an interesting little flower. This is Salvia. It's an annual, but it's a pointed form and very, very similar to lavender, but of course lavender has gone to a seed head now. Now, of course, it is important to try and use seed heads, and although the marjoram is quite deep in colour, it does give an interesting look. I'll let you have a little look and see how it's going along. Now, when you are doing any hand tie, it is important that you have no foliage below what we call the tying point, because the foliage will affect the quality of the water. Normally you would, for a hand tie, certainly, you would put your material in separately, but as I say, for quickness, I'm putting it in bunches. Now, if you, as you do a hand tie, all your stems should spiral, and if you do that correctly, then none of the stems are going to cross, of course, and besides that, if they're not crossing, they won't break. So I'm looking now at the design, making sure that I've got a good area of profile and making sure that I've given all those flowers the space between them, and that because each one has its own beauty and I want each one to be seen. Yes, that's nice. Now finally, one more addition, and that's some sweet peas that I've grown myself. So they're going in now. And I'm going to put these closer to the framework, and the reason I'm doing that, of course, is sweet peas are, they just have quite short stems, and so they need to go nearer the outside, so that I'll make sure that they go into water. One more little addition there. So we must adhere to our elements and principles of design when we're doing any flower arrangement. And I would hope that these demonstrations, as they're going out, we're hoping to encourage more and more people to enjoy the love for flower arranging. It brings such a lot of pleasure. I don't know whether I've mentioned, but there's some rosemary there. And can you see how some of the flowers are at different heights? And that's good. Sometimes you need recession and height in your bouquet. So hopefully it will be pleasing. If you have a mirror handy, then you can point your bouquet at the mirror, and that ensures that you, and if you need to move any flowers, then you can. I'm adding a little bit of vine, and that, again, you can ease through. This vine is an annual, and it's called Grandpa Otty, and it's Morning Glory. So you just get the wonderful display of trumpet flowers first thing in the morning, but as it's getting colder now, they're getting fewer and fewer. So coming round, I'm just going to add a few more. So I think I've mentioned all the materials, but what I haven't mentioned is, if you do like this and you'd like to have a go, then there are lots, in every area there are lots of NAFAS run flower groups, and certainly in our area I'm a member of something called the Teachers Association, and we put on classes throughout the year with NAFAS teachers, and we do what we call creativity in flower courses. We do them for beginners and advanced. So if you are interested, you could ask your programme secretary or a member of your club, or you could get in touch with NAFAS. I've got all the stems together now. They are all rotating. I'm going to do a nice knot at the bottom around the binding point, because you've rotated your stems all one way, then tying the knot, you will not break any stems. And then finally you need to just snip the bottoms of your stems before you put them into some water. I'll just do that now quickly. Oh gosh, that's a bit tough. There we are. And I have a vase of clean water, and I've put a ribbon round there and some complimentary raffia tape. That now will go through into the water, and the very nature of the framework, it will sit on top of the vase. And I hope that you like the design that I have done. Now, taking this a step further, this is one that I did for my sister during lockdown, and it was the time that we couldn't get any flowers really. So I made of this, and then I collected all the things that were around in May, things like astrantia and poppies, and there was Fox digitalis, lots and lots of different things. And we allowed it to dry, and then she had all the seeds. So that was I hope she appreciated that gift from me. But I'm wanting to now make this into an autumnal door hanger. So you can see, as the time has gone, the bark, the branches have shriveled slightly. So we need to make sure it's firm. So I added a few of I wove in and out, as you saw me do earlier, with the rubus. But to make absolutely sure that it's nice and firm, I added a wreath ring to the reverse of it. I've bound that with some Stemtex or just stem tape, and that then I'm going to attach in 3 places to the wreath, to the ring of corylus, just by threading through some paper covered wire, which I have already covered in the same Stemtex. A little twist, and that will keep that in place. And I'm going to do that 3 times. When I've done that, I think you will see the open weave that I can then work with. So I'm going to show you one that I've done already. And that's this one here. And I hope you can see that I've created a collage with lots of different seed heads, berries, nuts, grasses, fern, everything that was lying around in the both in my garden and in the hedgerows. And all I did with that simply was stick the pieces in. I threaded them through the weave and stuck them in with a hot glue gun, but you could use cold glue if you prefer. I've added on a bow, but prior to that counterfeiting all that, I wanted to be able to have some fresh flower. So I've covered some little test tubes that the orchids come in. I've covered it in the stem text as well. And those will just simply, again, push in and be camouflaged in the nature of this particular woven framework. So now I can add water to that, and then I can add some flowers, and these of course I can replace on a weekly basis, so that my door hanger will last, I hope, throughout the autumn season. These are Dahlias. I'm going to change that one and put a bigger one because that's the focal area, and perhaps we'll have another one here. And then this is an interesting little flower. This is an annual climber and it's called Spanish Flax. So that might look nice. I'm going to make it a bit shorter. It's quite difficult doing it upside down, but there we are. I have another little dahlia there, so we'll put another one in. And a little more of the Spanish Flax. And I think you can see how effective this is. Now I've put in here, and I can't even find them myself, 5 test tubes. But this is a design with a focal area, and it's a little bit like a horseshoe. But you could do it the whole way round. It's entirely up to you, and it's so easy to do. This is a little bit of mint going in there. So there we are. That's my my door hanger. That is a very nice piece of golden marjoram. So I'm just going to put that in there. So I hope you can see how quick and easy this is to make. So I'm going to hang it up here and let you have a look. And I hope you agree it's a lovely welcome when anyone comes to the door in this autumnal season. So thank you very much for listening to me, and I hope you will take some of my ideas and have a go yourself. So thank you.